Luxembourg.
Radio Luxembourg. Good evening, everybody. This is Radio Luxembourg calling. Now, our program this evening begins with a concert radiated to you by the courtesy of Scrimplethorpe's talc powder. The powder that talks for itself. Ladies, aren't you asking too much of your husbands when you expect them to kiss you goodbye first thing in the morning with a face looking like the back of a cab? Try a box of our famous four-way powder. Called four-way as it can be used as face powder, gunpowder, flea powder, or sedlitz. Get a box today from any reputable off-license. Now, we have with us in the studio tonight as our guest artist that very delightful crooner, Miss Elsie Newcastle. I'm sure she needs no introduction from me. You know her so very, very well, of course. And Miss Elsie Newcastle has kindly consented to croon to you. That concludes the concert presented to you by Scrimplethorpe's talc powder. Gentlemen, that wart on the back of your neck that you used to fasten your collar to, do you realize that you're driving thousands of collar stud makers on the dole? 3 applications of the famous Jambock ointment, I'll spell that, Jambock, and your wart will completely disappear, and water relief. Send a postcard enclosing Bank of England notes for 2 and 6pence to Jambock Limited, 192 Waterloo Road, for free generous sample. And a great free gift offer, a solid bone collar stud to take the place of the wart that you have lost. Now, we are fortunate tonight to have in the studio with us our 2 very dear old friends, Elsie and Doris Waters, who will entertain you with one of their inimitable Cockney impressions entitled Wart About It.
Vous avez entendu rire de Elsie and Doris Waters.
Elsie and Doris Waters. Ladies, now when you go out each day, do you ever think of the slender threads on which your reputation hangs? Any day you might come home a broken and humiliated woman. Schnotzelheimer's British springless suspenders will make that impossible. I'll just spell that word. S-C-H-S-S-N-S... No, I don't think I'll spell that. Schnotzelheimer suspenders will support anything from a Chelsea football club to a poor relation. The only hold-up recognized by the police. Buy your suspenders from the firm that have been in the hold-up business since the days of Dick Turpin. No more embarrassing pops when bending down. Never nip the knee. Wear a pair today and let all your friends see them. Look for the trademark, the head of Peeping Tom on every clasp. Now, we have in the studio with us tonight that well-known wireless pianist, Mr. Billy Mail, and he's going to play to you on his well-known wireless piano. That was Mr. Billy Mail playing to you on his well-known wireless piano, and that concludes the program sent to you by Schnotzelheimer's Old British Suspenders. Now, we're delighted to have with us in the studio tonight, as you possibly heard, the Arsenal football ground. And talking of football, that brings us to the concert sent to you with the compliments of Skittlegood's Football Pools. Now, before we start the concert, I'd like to read you out the results of yesterday's pools. Pool number 1, £17,865 7 and 11 pence for 6pence. Pool number 2, 2pence halfpenny for 6pence. Pool number 3, 9pence for 4pence. Now, don't forget Skittlegoods will be on the air again next Sunday. And we are delighted to have with us this afternoon your great recording favourite, Mr. Stanley Holloway, who I'm sure needs no introduction from me, Mr. Stanley Holloway. Do you suffer from insomnia or sleeplessness at nights? Counting sheep is both old-fashioned and ineffective. Take a tumblerful of Johnny Snorker's Scotch whisky instead. We do not guarantee that it will send you to sleep, but it will at any rate make it worthwhile keeping awake. Now remember, it must be Johnny Snorker's. Send a registered telegram enclosing stamps for £8.10 for large sample case containing 12 bottles. Sufficient for one person for 2 nights or viva voce. Now, we're exceedingly fortunate to have with us tonight in the studio the orchestra of the Berlin State Opera, under the direction of Herr Schnitzen-Eichenhofer. They will play to you the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Have you an elderly relative from whom you have pleasurable expectations? Why wait for years when the money will be useful to you now? Try a tin of Polish-em-off, the only reliable exterminator for rats, for relations, and all other vermin. Send half a crown for free liberal trial sample, or 2 and 6 for large size sufficient for 6 people. To be had of all music dealers. Now, we have with us tonight in the studio those 2 priceless silly-ass comedians, Clapham and Dwyer, and they're going to give you another one of those famous spots of bother. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the popular film fans hour. Now, we have a slight apology to make tonight, because the records of excerpts from the latest films have been delayed in transit, and they've not reached us in time for broadcasting. So in order to keep up the atmosphere of the film fans hour, I propose to tell you 1 or 2 Mae West stories. Now, Mae West was cycling along Piccadilly, and as she got along... Oh, that's a very good one. And the other one is Mae West when she got off the boat at Southampton. And as she entered the train... That's a better one still. Well, now that concludes the Film Fans Hour, ladies and gentlemen, and it also brings us to the end of our broadcasting for today. So I have nothing more to add now except to say to you, good night, everybody. Good night. Oh, and just one moment, please. A good night, everybody. Good night.